Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to come to this event. It's about 6 p.m. for me, so depending on where you're based, thank you for taking the time to be here live. It means a lot. Even though I can't see you, look you in the eyes, shake your hand, that sort of thing. It's really important to me that you figured out that this is an event that you wanted to be part of, that you wanted to take time to attend, and you wanted to engage with it. So the topic today is LinkedIn Secret to Success, how you can use every feature for lead generation. And generally, the idea about this is, how do you generate leads from LinkedIn? How can you get started? How can you target people in the right way, send the right messages, use the right software? And there's so much happening on LinkedIn that I just wanted to distill it a little bit in terms of how you can have a plan that you watch this webinar, share it with some of your team, and then tomorrow you say, great, let's put this into action, and then let's get started. So I want to give you a quick introduction to who I am. I'm a very practical guy. I want to show you a lot of examples. This is not a theoretical reach for the stars sort of webinar. This is copy this, try this, then message me and let me know how it goes. That sort of webinar. So thank you so much. There's been, I don't know what the numbers are now, 2,500, 3,000 that registered. And I'm a real person that wants to practice what I preach. I want to train people on these ideas. I want to do this for my agency clients. But I want to do it because it works. And if it didn't work, I would feel like a fraud. And it's not the imposter syndrome of, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. It's the, I want to make sure that I have a formula that I can scale my own business, as well as give you sort of predictability of how to get results for your own company. And mostly I work with startups, although not always. And so they want a formula for scale. And for me as an agency, I want a formula for scale, because if I can do this for one account, I can do it for 5 accounts, 10 accounts, that sort of thing. So let's get started. Please let me know any questions along the way. My colleague Eddie is on the chat. She'll be moderating, speaking to you. But please introduce yourself. This is a great network and opportunity to meet like-minded people who are all with a common goal of LinkedIn lead generation. I'm sure there'll be people messaging you, trying to sell their services, trying to introduce themselves. It's not something I can control who messages you or not. You are not my audience. I don't own you. I just have the privilege of trying to get your time for the next hour, that sort of thing. But I'm going to do my best to try and convince you of why these approaches work, and also why I'm the right person to help you if you don't have the time to do it yourself. So let's get started, and looking forward to doing this. So a very quick introduction of myself. The reason I want to give you this is context of who am I. And it was funny, Michael Raven, if you're on this webinar, it's a shout out to you. My friend Michael messaged me, and we worked together on our very first ever startup project, maybe 13 years ago, something like that. And he said, great to see you're still in the same space, the lead gen space. And I love it. This space that I've done for 13 years is lead generation for startups. I don't know if I'm hooked on this adrenaline of that alert where somebody books a demo, that alert where someone signs a contract, even that like buzz when somebody replies to a lead and says, I want to know more. These sorts of things I live for. And as I've developed my skill set, I've also gone more into the technology, the psychology, the relationships between growth hacking and lead generation and sales, and blurring it all together. And I think I've got a very unique skill that I'm extremely attention detailed and focused on the automations, the growth hacks. But I'm also obsessed with the relationships, because no matter how well you can scale something, if you can't make a stranger on the other side of that message actually feel valued, heard, listened, that sort of thing, it's pointless. So you all have to be a wonderful communicator as well as a marketer if you're going to work in this lead generation space. So I've worked for about 13 years with lead generation. I have an agency called prospectlabs.co, and we're a lead generation agency for startups. So we run LinkedIn campaigns, email campaigns, LinkedIn events, multi-channel campaigns. We're looking into LinkedIn newsletters. We're looking into LinkedIn audio events that we do a lot of different things we offer for startups to try and say there are multiple touch points of how to generate leads. And the fact that, as I said, we've got nearly 3,000 people registered is just an idea of how this can work, and how our approaches you can apply also. I've also worked all over Europe as an advisor to accelerator programs, as an advisor to campaigns. And my general approach with working with startups is, can I get you going very quickly? Can I get you that sort of feedback loop of you put some effort in, you get some quick results, and you want to spend more time? If you read the book called Hooked, you'll know about it, or you can research the IKEA effect. It's all the same sort of thing. So what I want to cover today is, number one, your target audience, but in the context of all of this. So covering target audience, which is the key thing on LinkedIn, 950 million people on there. How do you narrow that down to 100 people? By knowing your target audience and all the tools. Then I want to quickly show about messaging. I want to talk to you about how to interact with somebody and how to get, how to get across that you care, you want to know more, but also it's fine if you're sending the same message to hundreds of people. And how do you do that? Then your LinkedIn profile optimization. How do people perceive you? And if I messaged you all now and I said, give me one word of what you think about me, the sort of words I would want are trusting, well-spoken, educated, ambitious, polite, funny, maybe. I was training a group of students on this and I asked them this question, and one of the feedback I got was bald. I said, well, I can't do too much about that, but it was very funny. But I think how do people perceive you and how you want people to perceive you should be the same thing, but they're not always the same. You can be a very experienced marketer, but your profile looks like somebody who's not interested in marketing. So you need to get that ready. Then I want to show you a few softwares. Sharing softwares on LinkedIn is difficult because LinkedIn don't want you to automate anything. They don't want you to use third-party tools. So I just want to show you what's on the market. Then it's up to you what you want to do and what you don't want to do. Then finally, safety. If you do all of this, copy it all, and then tomorrow morning say, I'm going to go for it, there's a big risk of you breaking your account, getting you suspended or flagged if you don't know what to do. So I think it's very important that you do this slow and steady wins the race always with LinkedIn. So let's get started with target audience. I guess the first thing is, did you know there are 8 different ways to find your target audience? And I'm going to go through this in quite a lot of detail. So any of you out there that think you're experts, don't worry. I'll show you some new things you've never known. Any of you that are new to this, worry, because there's a lot of things that you don't know. But I want to ease you into this gradually to say, when you're looking for your target audience, there are certain ways to look at it. Now, you can go the easiest way, which is number one, just a basic LinkedIn search. And I'm going to cover that in a second. Or you can go the most relevant. And the most relevant is buying signals. What signals is that person showing on LinkedIn that I should interact with them? In the context of what I mean is, do I just look at somebody that is a founder based in New York that has 20 employees and works in computer software? Or do I find a founder that has attended a LinkedIn event about how to scale your business, and I message him or find that person based on we've both attended the event? So think of everybody here. 3,000 people have registered for how to generate new business on LinkedIn. So any external companies that are lead gen agencies, marketing agencies, ads agencies could target all of you because we've all met in one place and you've all shown that buying signal of, I'm going to click register. I'm going to show you I'm interested in this topic. So that shows somebody else you're interested in this topic. So we'll go through this simplicity because simplicity will be the easiest for you to get started. However, I want you to understand that you don't need to use all of these. You just need to become an expert at one or the other. And for example, a LinkedIn search and Sales Nav search are very similar, just a more advanced version. But let's get started. And I want to show you all the different ones. Number one, a LinkedIn search. So I'm sharing my screen live on LinkedIn. Hopefully you can all see this. I'll zoom in a little bit to make sure it's nice and clear. But this is live. There's no pre-recorded. So if something breaks, deal with it. Sorry, not sorry. So on LinkedIn, if you click search and then press enter, you go to this page here that clearly is taken. Oh, there we go with post for me. And you want to click on people. And then we click on people, you'll see 965 million people. Now, I don't know, if you're selling something that's pretty broad, great, target everybody. But basically, you want to filter this down. And there's a lot of training I could do just on this, but I'm going to show you the quick hacks, the 80-20 split, the small amount of things to do the maximum amount of impact. So if you click all filters, always second and third degree, people that you've not met but are outside your network. Filter on location, United States, for example. Filter on industry and find 1 or 2 industries where you know, that you know are your target audience. Go all the way to the bottom and then do what's called a Boolean search. So if you say founder space, capital OR space co-founder space or CEO, something like that, space and then capital OR for or. If it's not capitals, it won't work. But if you do that and click show results, you'll see whatever, 50,000, 100,000, 360,000. So it's still a lot of people. Now, I want to get this down to 1,000 people. The reason being that you can only see the first 100 pages and 10 people on each page of LinkedIn searches. So no matter if your results are 1,001 to 361,000, I can only see the first 1,000 results. So if that's the case, your search results should only be 1,000 because that's all you can see. So then you can do one final thing. And the reason why I exist as an agency, as a role, is because there's no approved LinkedIn trainers. That there are Google trainers, email trainers. There are no approved LinkedIn trainers. So everything that I learned is from learning, researching, testing, that sort of thing. So this means that to be very good at LinkedIn, you don't need to do what everybody else does. You just need to be that little bit better, because most people are terrible because there's no training from LinkedIn. They're too big. They don't really care about individual trainers to teach you and I. So what this means is that if you learn some of these tips, some of these hacks, you can really get amazing results because other people don't know this. So all I want to show you is after this, very simple, but if you go up to search and if you just type in a keyword, so I'll type in sales, and press enter, what it will now do is filter all of those results by people who also have sales in their profile. So I could then do a Boolean search to say sales or blockchain. So I want somebody that's a startup but has experience in that before. And this will narrow it right down to 78,000. So it's still a lot of people. So sales or blockchain, but then I could say and marketing. And you get the point. You can narrow this down and narrow this down until you can get really, really relevant. And then you can say, okay, and something else until you get to a point where, let's see, and sustain. So something more niche. And this might get rid of everybody. Let's see. There you go. Oh, you see what I mean? Still a lot of people. But my general point is you want to work with this to get it really, really specific. And if we change United States to say United Kingdom, you might see that the results go more narrow. Or there you go, 9,000. So all I'm trying to show you is that if you can do a search that focuses on people outside of your network, that focuses on job title, but keywords, you can get some great results. The other quick hack here is if we just click reset, and remember to reset this as well. There we go. If we click on all filters, and this time look for second and third degree, but connections of. So imagine you can connect with the head of sales, the head of marketing, even the founder of your biggest partner or your biggest competitor. So my context, I work with Startup Wise Guys a lot, one of the largest, if not the largest European startup accelerator. So if I say Cristobal Alonso is the founder, or the CEO, sorry, and I say connections of, what this is going to show me is all of the second and third degree connections we have in common. And if I remove this, because it's been a little bit buggy, let's see here. Otherwise, I'll do it from scratch. Here we go. So if I click people, all filters, second and third degree, Cristobal, and then show results. It should show, I don't know, a couple 100,000. There we go. So what do we have in common? All these people are connections of Cristobal, but not connections of mine, but we're in the same network. And if we look down it, most of these are founders, different people that I want to work with. So you can always do shared connections as a way to find a really good target audience. Okay, so we've covered just normal LinkedIn. Now let's have a look at Sales Navigator. Now, we're going in the realms of this is paid, but if you want to get results, you need to pay for some software because it's just not good enough to have a really broad net, because it's almost luck if you find somebody relevant instead of getting a really specific target audience. And I find this with my own agency. Sometimes early stage startups come to us and say, can we work with you? And I have to be really clear and say, if we work together, you're basically paying us to help find your audience instead of paying us to target your audience to generate leads. And that's the early stage to more developed. So using something like Sales Navigator can help you get a really specific target audience. And this is what I want to show you, the slight differences. So if you go to Sales Navigator, as I said, it's about $80 per month. And the general idea is you can filter by lead filters and account filters. So lead generation or account-based marketing, things like that. And for lead filters, all sorts of things you can do, but some that are great that you can do, say, second and third degree, but people that have recently viewed my profile. So these are all the people who've looked at my profile, but I'm not connected with them. So they might be selling to me, and you'll see a lot of head of marketing, recruiters, salespeople, but somebody like a founder is really important. Any founders, co-founders, this sort of thing are important because they've looked at my profile, but we're not connected. So that could be an audience I connect with. And remember, we go back to this point, buying signals. They've showed that they've come to me. And if you think about LinkedIn safety, LinkedIn don't want you to connect with anybody you don't know, which is a little bit ridiculous because Sales Navigator helps you find people you don't know to sell to them. However, if you can try and do all of your activities based on somebody showed a buying signal, then there's much more likability or likelihood that you're going to get a high connection rate and keep your account safe. So when you have a look at this one, instead of viewed your profile recently, you could say following your company. The only caveat about this is that if you say you're part of multiple companies, it'll show people who follow multiple companies. So it's not really relevant unless you're only part of one company. So if you say you're an advisor or anything like that, it just doesn't work. Okay, so imagine you just said second and third degree, 1.6 million results. So where do we go from here? The reason why, and this is very important, why it shows 1.6 million results, why basic LinkedIn shows 950 million, is normal LinkedIn just shows your second and third degree, whereas Sales Navigator will just show everybody that exists on LinkedIn, or at least close to LinkedIn. And that's a big difference. So the target audience that you can find is way, way bigger on Sales Navigator than it is on normal LinkedIn. Okay, a few other things. Company headcount. My target audience are 1 to 10, 11 to 50. So if I just do normal LinkedIn and say CEO Lithuania, I might find the CEO of Telia, which has 500 employees. That's not my target audience. I wouldn't know what to say to him. Mine are 1 to 10 or 11 to 50. So filter out by target audience and company headcount, really important. Next few things I do is not only job title, but I say seniority level, and I often get rid of people that are entry. So I'm just trying to remove the people that are not relevant for me. And then current job title, I would say maybe founder, something like that, and include. But because I can exclude, I might say investor. Exclude. And this starts to get a more audience where you're saying, I do want these ones, I don't want these, to get you close. A few other things that are great, and think about buying signals. Just because, say, Gabriel has a LinkedIn profile, it might be that he hasn't logged in for 10 years. He created it at his old company, never logs in. So what I want to do is say posted on LinkedIn. And these are the people who have all posted on LinkedIn in the past month. And then you could reach out to them and say, I read your post, or you know they're active, that they'll be online checking their messages. So there are all sorts of different things you can do on LinkedIn to fine tune your audience. And I could do an hour talk just on this. But the point I'm trying to show you is that there's a basic search and a LinkedIn search. And if you have the budget, always get a Sales Navigator account. And then if I save these search results, some examples here, what this means is that I can always find all the people that have joined this sort of search, but all the new people have joined the search. And this is really important. So this says 59 results. So that's fine. Only 59 people match this perfect audience. But if I connect with these 59, then the results will then change because new people will join this that are not my second and third degree, but become my second and third degree because of connecting with them. So it grows and grows and grows. And I know a lot of people who use automation tools that will say, just target this audience, but then as the audience grows, refresh and then target those new people as well. So there's a few ways around it. But my general point is that if you're thinking about Sales Navigator, you can see much more audiences, much more filtering, and you can find a much more specific audience, particularly from buying signals, which is really key for you. Good. Group search, huge pros and huge cons. So whenever you're looking for somebody, it's much easier if you go to a startup trade show, for example, and there's 1,000 people there and you just find investors, buyers, they're all in one place. So LinkedIn Group is a little bit like the digital version of a public networking event, a meeting, that sort of thing. The only tricky thing is just because someone's part of a group doesn't necessarily mean they're active. They might have joined that group I've got this one, travel and tourism, because they're head of sales for tourism startup. But then a year later, they're now head of sales for, I don't know, a fashion startup. It has nothing to do with travel and tourism. So it's not always perfect. But my advice is, if you can find some groups that are relevant, try and find groups that are ultra relevant. So I want to show you some of the groups that I'm part of. So there's this one here called, I can't even say it, the Lithuanian B2B Sales Association. So I'm from the UK, but I'm based in Lithuania, and all my team, proud to be from Lithuania. My wife's Lithuanian, and I love living here. So when I want to have an impact on working with salespeople, there's a group here with 1,140 members. Perfect for me. This group had 1 million people. What it means is very popular, but probably terribly moderated, which means hardly any of the audience would actually be my target audience. However, if there's only 1,000 people, what it means is that it's a really relevant target audience with relevant people I want to speak to. Now, a lot of you might think, great, I'll join the group, but I'll never get in. You don't need to join the group necessarily. Yes, sometimes, no other ways. The reason why you want to join the group is if you click show all, you can now message anybody from the group without needing to connect with them. So LinkedIn lets you message anybody from group to group without needing to connect. It goes to sort of a separate inbox, so it's not massively relevant, but it is good for volume. So if you're running a LinkedIn event, you're raising investment, you're doing a trade show, whatever, you could message 100 people per day in groups without connecting to them, as long as you're part of the group. And so this is really helpful. However, if you're not wanting to do that and you say, well, actually, I want to find relevant people but connect with them, then you can do the following. Now, I'll try this. It might not work with a word, but we'll give it a try. So if you go to Sales Navigator, and the same thing how I was showing you, you click lead filters and you scroll down, there's an option here called groups. If I paste that in here, there we go. So this same group here, 1,000+ results, this one here, it's now showing all the people in the group, irrelevant if you're a member of the group or not. So think of the relevance of this. You start a new job, you're growing a product. If you find a really niche audience, less than 1,000 people in a group, and you find that audience on LinkedIn, then you go to Sales Navigator and you filter by the group. Then what you can do is then add all your filters. So anybody in that group who's now second and third degree, if I really want to do, I could say who's also connections of Cristobal, if I said, and that would give me a really specific search. Nobody there. But second and third degree, great. And then I can say who's posted on LinkedIn recently. Perfect. And then I can maybe say company headcount of my sort of ISP, ideal sort of target audience, or ICP, sorry. And there you go. There's 100 people in the group. And you can see co-founders, founders. Jonas, I know, and I know the business well, would be a perfect fit to work with. So as you can see here, it's getting LinkedIn search down to a group, down to a sales nav group to filter, down to your target audience, and you've gone from 950 million to 98 people in a LinkedIn group that are relevant. One of the questions I've got here, how do I upgrade from LinkedIn Business to Sales Navigator? So if you're on LinkedIn, you just go up to For Business, and if you click here, and it'll say Sell with LinkedIn. And if you click on that, it'll take you to this LinkedIn Sales Navigator page. You get a free trial for a month, which is great. And then after that, it's paid. But that free trial for a month is enough to really push it to see what sort of results you can get. Good. So if we go back to what we've covered here, LinkedIn search, Sales Nav search, group search. So now think of the next one, event search. So think of the position. This LinkedIn event here. If I didn't want to do a LinkedIn event, if I was too shy, I didn't want to speak, too lazy, didn't have anything to say, but I still wanted to generate leads on LinkedIn, instead of doing an event, I can just target other people that are doing events and target their audience. And let me show you what I mean by this. So if I go to LinkedIn and if I type in startup, for example, press enter. And then if I click on events, and there we go, Startup Bootcamp, 29,000 people, 3,000 people. There's my event there. Let's find a one that's not too big. Let's see here. Here we go, this will be good. Still huge, but we'll try it out. If I click attend, what you then can see is I can now see all the registrations. Think of the power of this. Think of any of you that have paid 10,000, 5,000 to go to a trade show just to learn that there's nobody there or your target audience is not there. This is now a live LinkedIn event that you can say, these are all the people that have registered. And then again, apply the same things, second and third degree, then filter by location, job title. And then out of these people, I can then say, are they from UK? Are they a founder? That sort of thing. And I can get down to my perfect target audience. The other thing is LinkedIn change from time to time, but you can message people in the event without needing to connect with them. The same sort of hack as you can do for groups. So I think that's where it's really helpful that if you can find an event that's relevant, click on the event, see the registrations, and then that's it. You're ready to message these people. Now, I've got a really good question here. How do I search for relevant groups? And how do I search for relevant events? And it's pretty hard. You only have one option. Click on search, click on enter, and then down here, click on what you want to search by. So people, groups, events. This example will search for events. Click on search there, and then just click on the keyword, startup. Or do the Boolean search, startup or sales or marketing. As you can see, all these results here are all the events that are relevant. So it's a bit of a tricky thing, but LinkedIn are not good at letting you find events, letting you find groups. They're impossible at letting you find newsletters. So generally, you've got to really create the event, but push it yourself if you're running an event like we are doing today. But I think in terms of how do you find groups or how do you find events, the same sort of searches in theory as how you find your target audience, but instead of people pointed towards events or groups. Another one, how can I store lead lists and save them within Sales Nav? So really quickly, if you do a search like that, you just click this button here. Now, there's been a few changes I've seen in LinkedIn accounts where some people have this on, some people have this off, and it just says save the search or save notified. But if you click that on, it'll just go to this section called saved searches. And that's where you can see your lead searches or account searches. The difference is just generally lead is people, account is companies. That's a sort of change within. Good. So if we think about how to target events, my general idea would be, I do this sort of training and people say, oh, there are no events available. There's nobody talking about sustainability, or there's no one talking about fintech, or there's no one talking about whatever. So my point is, well, create the event, be the person talking about it. On the flip side, if people say, oh, there's so many people talking about events, great. They're doing the hard work for you. So target their audience. I've brought 2,700 people together today have registered on the event. Now, all the people who want to target that audience, it's fine. You don't belong to me. All I've done is said, here's an event, come and see it. But I know a lot of people that get annoyed to say, if I do an event, anybody can register and message my attendance. And it's like, that's like saying if you put on a physical event, people can't talk to each other. It's like, just chill. If your secret sauce, if your approach, if your expertise is what you're selling, people who want to buy will buy. People who don't, and people will network and get to know each other. So I think if you're going to do an event, you need to put it on for the case of you want to educate and build a relationship, and that might lead to customers. But don't worry about other people targeting your network or your attendees, because you can do the same thing for other events, and it's fair game. Other quick question, did the events tab disappear for all companies or just some? So this is a fair point, and I'll just cover this quickly. So if you go to here, and it might look a bit weird because I might show myself streaming, so we'll see. But generally, as a member, there's a section here where, here we go. There's a section here which used to say events, and it doesn't anymore. That got removed, and it just shows here instead. So it's still sort of there, but it just moved a little bit. The problem this caused is anytime LinkedIn changed their layout, it impacts a lot of softwares that are connected to LinkedIn. So if you're using any automation, any third-party tool, it can spook LinkedIn a little bit. But generally, it's not too much of a problem. So I hope that's solved that, but it hasn't disappeared. And trust me, I run a full agency based on helping companies run LinkedIn events. So when I saw that change, I was like, oh no, I hope they're not pulling events. But no, they were just rearranging the format of a company page. But if you just go to any company LinkedIn profile and just type /events, you'll find it there. Good. So event searches. Next one, posts. I want to show you this very quickly, but I honestly think it's a waste of time. But you might find a hack to think this is great. And this is the general point. If I go to search and press enter, and if I click posts, this is going to show all the posts by people in my network. And if I scroll down, you can see all these people here, Maddie, I can see Anastasia, these sorts of things. So all I can do is filter by when they posted, but it's very hard to post by content. So again, if I type in keyword startup, I can start to see anybody who's posted and talking about startup and that sort of thing. So it's okay, but it's not perfect. But if you find a post where you say these 23 people, for example, are your target audience, click on them, and there you go. It's public data to say these people like a post. So what could work is if you find a real influencer, a person who creates amazing content in your niche, in your space, then you can target the people who like their content. So I talk about LinkedIn lead generation. So I know a few of the companies that I use, a few of the softwares, a few partners, they do amazingly high quality content. So I can target their followers because if they like them, they might work with me. And that's the general logic. So when we go back to sort of buying signals, if you target somebody who's part of a group, part of an event, made a post, to start with, you've just got something in common to speak to them about, but also you know they're active, engaged, or they're interested in something. And this is the real power of LinkedIn. It's all public that people will just say, these are going to events, these are going to groups, these are posted, these like things, these are part of a group, these people have attended this event. It's all public data, which makes it really easy. So if you just stick to a basic search of, because they're a founder in America, I'm going to target them, there's nothing in common. It's like dating and saying, because they're a woman in Lithuania, I'm going to date them. No, find something in common, friends in common, that sort of thing. So I talk about the analogy with dating and sales a lot because it all comes down to how can you get a stranger to stop and listen to you just for a couple of minutes? And the reason that's so critical is I ask this question to everybody. And just think of this now, just as like a little break when I have a quick drink. What was the very first thing that you said to your current partner or they said to you? And so many people say things like, I can't remember, I was drunk, or I don't know, we just got talking. And that's the point of everything. It doesn't matter how you get talking, as long as you get talking. So it's much easier to say, hey, like your connection message, hey, I saw you're part of the Prospect Labs event. Let's connect, get to know each other. That's way better than just nothing in common. So I hope that helps. I'm just going to check the questions here. In terms of automation tools, I'll cover that in a second later on, but the answer is none. Nothing is approved by LinkedIn. Can you search like this in advertising campaigns? So for paid ads, it's not so much my expertise. So it's not something I would necessarily comment on, but you can be a lot more filtered by ads because you're targeting people by behavior. So ads are great to say demographic, location, interests, and you can target them. Whereas a LinkedIn search, you don't have those same ad filters. So you just have to do the searches. And I think, is this also for individuals? I'm not so sure what you mean, but I presume if you mean your personal profile compared to company profile, then yes, most of the training is about what you can do on your own LinkedIn personal profile. Good. So posts we've sort of covered, and all of these posts, events, groups, searches, I'm going to show you a tool that can export all the people from these and put on a spreadsheet or do what you want to do with it. So next one is LinkedIn Learners. So if you go to LinkedIn, LinkedIn are not one for really telling you about their software. They just do things. They buy a company, they integrate, they just don't tell you. So imagine any of you out there that have got 950 million customers and you release a new product, but you just don't tell anybody. Or not even that, you probably pay 10 million to acquire a company, but don't tell anybody about it. That's basically LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning is if you click search and then press enter, and you look at courses, this is called LinkedIn Learning, and they acquired a company called Lynda, which was the platform. Now, all of this is a little bit messy, but if you don't know this, you don't know. But when you look at this and you just Google LinkedIn Learning, and then you click here, you'll now see that there's a new LinkedIn world where you're like, what is this? Why does nobody talk about this? So this is all built to train you on how to get better at whatever, not get better at LinkedIn, get better at any of the courses that people train you on. But I always reverse engineer something. I don't want to get better at something, although on the side I do, but in the context of this, I want to find people who are looking to get better at something because those people are my audience that I can message. And this is what I mean. Let's type in sales, press enter. And then let's filter by courses. And then let's go to level advanced. So I'm basically looking for advanced people who want to study courses about sales. My target audience, they are sales managers, Series A startup, grown quickly, and then think, I need to quickly get better. I need to manage a team. I need to generate more leads. So when you click on the course, and apologies, it'll pop up with a guy speaking in a second. There you go. Now have a look at this. 14,000 people like this course. So that's 14,000 people out there who are interested in learning more about how to get better at sales. Now, the amazing thing about this, that's different to if you've used any other online platforms, Coursera or things like this, is you can just click on it. And there you go, a list of all people who are interested in this. Now, a lot of this differentiates. You'll get some people that I presume are students trying to get better, but also people that are business development managers that are your, in theory, target audience. And again, look for really niche courses. So if you've got a digital product that there are 100 people like it, there are probably 100 people that you can target. So this is one of my best hacks that doesn't work for everybody. But if you can find that target audience on here that are really interested in something like this, advanced lead generation, brilliant. In theory, every one of the people here should be listening to this webinar, if not working with me. And you can see all these people here are either looking to get better, or a lady like this is probably targeting these people. So it's not, I'm not the only person who spoke about this, but I've certainly never been to any training where anybody's mentioned this approach. So hopefully this can be your sort of your unique hack. So to reconfirm, that's LinkedIn Learning, find a course, click on the course, then see all the people who like the course, and that's people you can target them because you've got something in common. It's like you've met at university, but not as connected. And that's what I mean by this one here, LinkedIn Learner Search. So just for some of the questions, is there a way to access the email addresses of my connections on LinkedIn? So not quite specific to this, but I'll answer it because it's coming in. You can export all of your network, and that sometimes shows the email addresses. However, if you connect your account to software that I'll show you in a second, it'll pull in all the email addresses of your network. Most of them are personal email addresses, but it's up to you what you want to do with that data. Can you connect Sales Navigator to Salesforce? Yes, you can, but I never use Salesforce. I always use HubSpot, Pipedrive, Notion, Trello, Monday, things like that. So I've never looked in that integration, but if you're more from a corporate background that wants to use Salesforce, then there are some really great integrations, but more on an enterprise plan for LinkedIn and a lot more expensive. But there is an integration for that. How do you transfer those contacts from Learning Site, for example, Sales Navigator? It's pretty tricky. I think you may be in your logic missing one step. If you've got your target audience, say all the people who like a LinkedIn Learning course, you don't need to get them in Sales Navigator. You basically need to get them off LinkedIn and onto a spreadsheet where you can work through them and manually connect with them, or into an automated tools where you might just automate the messaging. And I'll show you a few options of that. But generally the step is with all these things, number one would be export the data, get the data nice and clean and tidy and make sure that's your audience, and then do step two, which I'll show you in a second. Good. Final one is services search. I've never really used this so far, but I don't want to miss it out because you might think, oh, this is something that nobody knows about. So on LinkedIn, again, all these things at the top here, you click search and then enter. And then this time click on services. You'll then see you can now filter by people who offer services. So if these people offer, let's say, event management, event planning, and in theory, I can target all these to say, for example, I'm working with a great startup that has a digital business card, and they're targeting people whose skills are event planning to say, ditch the paper card, use the digital one. So we could target all these people from event planning. This is the search criteria, could export all of these people, and then that's my target audience. You can message them, but you'll see what happens when you message them like this. Oh, actually, this is quite cool. That's new. And this is the joy of LinkedIn. So I don't know if you can message these. It goes into their inbox. It's just because they're contacts with me. I'm not sure. But I don't really use it so far because people who offer services don't really want to be sold to. Those are the ones selling. And you can't outfox a fox. You can't sell to a person who's selling. It's just a waste of time. So generally, I don't use this too much. But if you're on the other side and you're something like a platform that lists wedding planners, a platform that lists consultants, then this is a great way to find all these people and then reach out to them, invite them to register. So if you've got a community or like a two-sided marketplace as your startup, this could be a really good hack to try that. One other question, how to export all of your network. Tricky one. You can export all of your network. I would ask why, because there's certain reasons why you want to stay away from that. But often you don't always need to export your network. So for example, on normal LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, you can just filter by first degree. And then that's your network there. And then filter by certain things, first degree, but founder, job title, and then that audience, you might want to message them, interact with them. So it depends on the context, but I would usually say you need to use an external tool to export. And this is not against LinkedIn's terms and conditions because this is public data. Bit of a gray area, but if you look into more detail, you'll see you can export this without too much of a problem. Okay, final one, and this is a really hopeless one, but it's worth showing you, is product search. And product search is just simply this. Press enter, products, and companies can have a company page. So I'm Prospect Labs, but I could have a product page of the Prospect Labs Done For You service. That could be the product that we offer. And so a lot of time you'll see here, the biggest ones here, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple, but you can filter by lots of different things. And I think the idea behind this is, I don't know, online course platforms. You can filter by looking for things you want. So I don't really know the hack here where I would use this for sales, but I definitely think there's an option where you can find people who have a product. But the tricky thing is you can't filter by size of company, employees, when it was created. So there's not so much I think you can get from this. But please let me know if there's a sort of lead generation hack where you can use products. But I don't really touch it so much, which is why we're going to quickly move by. Good. So I'll just recap that actually, just while I take a quick break and a quick drink. But these are the ones we've covered so far, and just have a look at them all. And just have a think, what is the best way to find your target audience? And in my opinion, if I was to try and find somebody that we had things in common, shared buying signals, I would go for people from events, people from groups, Sales Navigator search of people who have viewed my profile, Sales Navigator search of people who have followed my company. I would message people who register for my event, like all of you here. And that's about it. So I wouldn't do all of them, but I try and do things where they've shown a bit of a buying signal or they've shown intent around me, viewed my profile, followed my company, attended my event, maybe liked my own posts. So have a look at all the moving parts and see what you think is the most relevant for you. Okay, doing good for time. So let's cover the next bit. 15 minutes, so just hang on there. I know this is a lot of information, but generally the point is you don't need to finish this webinar and think, okay, I get it. I want you to finish this webinar and think, wow, there are so many ingredients that I didn't know about. I can cook this amazing meal now. So it's moving parts that I want to show you how to contribute to what you're doing. So nobody does all of this. It's just the right part at the right time. So second thing is just simply you find your target audience on Sales Navigator, on LinkedIn, whatever it is. How do you interact with them? And I want to keep this simple. Number one, I don't think you should ever add a connection request message. And this is why. As I said, I've worked with startups for about 13 years, and I would say for about 12 and a half years, I would be so strict. I would say, I'm not going to connect with you if you don't send a message. And then the past 6 months, automation changed. ChatGPT, AI tools, a lot of automated products sort of boomed. And what this generally meant was it's easier to write an automated message for a LinkedIn profile in scale. So there are Google Sheets where you can add 100 LinkedIn profiles, drag and drop, and it'll integrate with ChatGPT and create 100 LinkedIn connection messages. So in theory, you think, great, I can just bulk message everybody and everybody feels like it's personal. But it doesn't. It's ChatGPT. It sounds like a robot. And I had this discussion with Eddie today where certain words that ChatGPT uses where you just know this is not a real message. So you can tell a mile away if it's an automated message or if not. So my general rule of thumb, and we manage a load of accounts for startups, and what we see is no connection message, higher connection rate. More connection message and the more bespoke and more personalized to a stranger, the lower the acceptance rate. High connection rate to people that you've met and you're very personalized, then incredible results. So I think if I quickly check my network, and there'll be a lot of people from this event here, you'll see all of these, nobody adding, which is fine. When I get some, and I can see all, That's a personalized message. The personalized messages, and maybe a lot of people are listening to me here, are this one here, where Ida Rose actually met me. So I said, great, send that one. But a lot of time you'll see generally the trend is here. Would you consider connecting, being part of my journey, it'll be a joy for me. I know that when I click accept, I'm getting a sales message. So generally my point is no connection request and it'll just get better results. Then after someone connects with you, this is the general formula that we connect with. And you don't need to use the same words, but just think of the logic. Ask for feedback. Don't book a demo. Say, can I get your feedback on what we're building? So most of my target audience are early stage startups who are looking for new customers. So if they say, hey, I'm Pat for Prospect Labs, do you want a demo? People are like, who's Prospect Labs? We've never heard of you. If I say, thanks for connecting, I would love to get your feedback on what we're working on at Prospect Labs. We've created a service that helps startups generate 30 plus leads a month via LinkedIn and LinkedIn events. Is this something you want to learn more about? Generally, the topic is, this is what we do. This is how we help, but it's over to you to see, do you want to know more about it? I'm not pushing you to something. Would you like to know more? And you'll get a lot of people reply, yes, I would like to learn more. So a cold stranger, a cold lead saying, I want to know more about your service. That's the adrenaline rush. That's the buzz of what I live for and what I train people for. So you want to find a template to say, this is who I am. This is how I help. Would you like to learn more? You like to, a spell mistake there. So would you like to learn more? But the general idea is it's about asking them for feedback, not telling them what to do. That's number one. Number two is following up. On average, it takes 8 to 10 messages back and forward, message, before you get somebody on a call, on a demo. So you need to follow up, because if I just send that and they don't reply, it's not enough. People are very busy. If you use an automated tool, that will send it automatically 5 days later. If you don't, you need to remember to follow up. But the 3 Ps I say to people: polite, persistent, pushy. Always be polite and say, thanks for connecting, great to get to know you. Be pushy in terms of following up and sort of be that proactive of trying to make things happen. So this is our general formula of how we cover messaging. And this should get you 10 to 20 people per month reacting, replying, asking for more information. Just checking the questions here. What cover background shows you? Good. So I'll cover a few of these questions in the end because I want to keep it specific to this and I'll come back to it at the end. But thanks for sharing them, Eddie. So if you have this formula of you've found your target audience, you've found these people and you want to interact with them and you say, thanks for connecting. This is what I'm doing. I would love to get to know you more. If you're a student and you don't have a product or service, ask them a question. Thanks for connecting. Is a book that you can recommend? Is there a software you can recommend? By starting a conversation, you can build a relationship where you can grow and use it for the future. Good. I think after you've moved on to that, final things I want to cover, and I'm going to move on this quite quickly because this is a topic in its own niche, and I think anybody who's registered for this event will be sending some follow-up emails, and there's going to be a lot more resources on this. But I just want to say a few things. So please have a look here at any of the people that have been connecting with me. And what you can see is what all these people have in common, all you that are here, is your initial reaction is trust or not trust. That's it. LinkedIn is not a dating website. So I'm not looking at attractive or not attractive, although there are weird people out there that do, but that's not the goal. It's trust. Can I trust this person? Michael, if you want to hear here, great profile. Smiling, head, shoulders, no reason why not to trust. This profile here, no face, would never connect. Nicholas, perfect. Benes, perfect. Kim, Jew, all these people. See, this one here, it might work for you, but almost if you're pointing, it's like an aggressive nature. That's much more aggressive than that. So I would find this a little bit sort of too much, but again, it might work in your own niche. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to try and give you some inspiration. But all my ideas I'm trying to say are, with your LinkedIn profile, make sure you optimize this, that the first impressions of what people see are the first impressions of how you want to be perceived. If you are the startup geek and you're proud of that, you're proud of how introverted you are. And I say geek as a sort of a compassionate word, as in I'm a geek. I'm proud to be a geek. I want to spend all night testing software. So I'm proud of that. So I don't want to hide that. So if you're proud of this sort of approach of who you are, don't pretend to be somebody else to impress other people. Be true to your values of this is who I am and this is how I want you to perceive me. So when you update your LinkedIn profile, few things. Profile picture. Any of your profile pictures here, if you want to update it, go to pfpmaker.com. And I'll open this up very quickly for you. pfpmaker.com. What the software does is it will PFP, oh, maybe it's down for some reason. So you'll have a look at this, pfpmaker.com. If for whatever reason it's down, but when it uploads again, you can take any profile, upload it, and you can change the background image to be a more branded color for you. And this can be really powerful, as you can see here, a few examples of getting that profile picture that stands out. Your brand colors, your purple, your green, your HubSpot orange, whatever it might be. So update your profile picture. Secondly, your background image. My advice would be do the same background image for your company page and your profile page. If you're a student, if you're an employee, if you don't have a company page, well, if you're an employee, it'll be the company page of the company. But if you're a student, then put something that inspires people. Put something where you want people to get to know your hobbies or your interests. But this sort of approach here means can't trust, poor attention to detail, even though you might have those capabilities, just your LinkedIn persona might not say that. So LinkedIn can be really powerful for giving you this opportunity to say, like, this is your brand, this is your image, bring it to life. And I can't imagine any of you would build a website in the top fold, the most important bit, you would have no image. You wouldn't even check, it just blurred. You'd be really relevant of what image you add, and the same as a LinkedIn profile. So I think when you're looking at your background image, what I do here is my own. Actually, I'll leave it off because it's sort of streaming live. But generally for your background image, have something that represents you. So on my personal LinkedIn profile, show you here. There you go. I say need to generate more leads and sales for your startup. I'm not saying what we do, but generally you can understand from there. But I want to stand out from the colors. I want my team to stand out from the colors. And I want this sort of background image to say, this is my logo, this is my attention to detail, this is my brand, this is who I am. So when you're doing sort of this optimization, make sure you add these. Final thing for this, and then I'm going to move forward to the final bits, are your tagline. Make sure people understand who you are and either the impact of what you do or your hobbies. So Laura here has a great one. She says, VP of Sales and Marketing, Game of Thrones extra. And so many people are like, I don't like this. It not works for me. And then I'd say to them, so if you met Laura, what would you say? And they come up with all sorts of questions. And the point is, she gives you that hook to start the conversation, to break the ice. And that's why I don't know, if you ever read any book about professional pickup artists, they always talk about this point of peacocking. Wear a big hat, big watch, purple coat, whatever, just to give somebody the chance to break the ice and say, nice coat, nice hat, and then you can speak to strangers. So the same way with lead generation, give somebody a chance to say, that's cool. So I'm an ex-professional footballer, played for England youth teams, played against Ronaldo, and I used to have in my tagline, ex-professional footballer. And the amount of people would connect with me, and the first thing would be, great to connect, Pat. Who's the best player you've ever played against? What was Ronaldo like? Did you ever see Alan Shearer? All these sort of questions. And then small talk turns into business. So giving somebody this option can work great. The other one, the example down here, is just give impact. So on mine, the impact is helping startups to scale. So this is not all about what I do and not how, but that's the impact. So I think if you add this, it's really important. So I think, Eddie, you're just saying, some people are saying that add 2 to 3 sentences here. I'm completely against this for this reason only. It cuts off. So when you say VP marketing, global marketing leadership, aligning, like, it cuts off, which first things, attention to detail, understanding of spacing, but also just impact. Do I quickly read this and think, that's perfect, accept. So VP of marketing, great. Person of authority. Which company? I don't know. And what's the impact? So when I go through these, and everybody does this, international sales manager, great. Which company? What's the impact? Co-founder and CMO, great. At which company, great. And what's that? I'm not sure, but I'll check. So that to me is perfection. Attention to detail, catch, bit of a hook. Founder, CEO, and executive director, great. At which company, doing what? Financial professional, business development, asset protection, at which company, and are you an intern, or are you CEO? So there's just this formula that if you get this right, and it's just like a personal preference, it's not a right or wrong, but it gets results based on when people see your profile. It's very quick and very simple what happens. Okay, about section, feature, that sort of thing. I'll cover sort of a later thing because I want to wrap up now for the last 5 minutes. And this is about LinkedIn softwares and safety. 3 softwares that I'm going to recommend. However, in the follow-up emails we share, I'm going to recommend the top 10 softwares and our software stack that we use. But I just want to show you these 3 because these 3 are ones that you might look at and think this can really sort of scale me up. One thing to show you, if you use any of these tools, it's directly against LinkedIn's terms and conditions. LinkedIn do not want you ever to use third-party automation tools. However, one thing that baffles me is LinkedIn's rules and conditions are don't use automation, don't use external tools. But when I go to start a post, it'll say draft with AI, which is an external automated tool powered by ChatGPT or whatever it might be. So LinkedIn break their own rules. So it's a confusing place, but I can't stress any harder. These are not tools that LinkedIn endorse in any sort of way, which means that you can get amazing results. But if you don't use them correct, LinkedIn will suspend, delete your account. So I'm not telling you to use these. I'm saying look into them and do whatever you think is right for you. So Tapelo, for example, this is the one that takes content based on brand leaders, rewrites it based on your content and your tone, and then you can schedule it across multiple days and weeks. Lots of content. It can create really high profile content. And most importantly, it has volume. And anybody who's doing well on LinkedIn posts, it's not because they write one a year and it's amazing. They post nearly every single day and get results. So in terms of a scheduling tool and content, Tapelo is very cool. In terms of just data, Phantom Buster is the one that I know a lot of startups use, and they're generally working more and more all the time on how to do more on LinkedIn. In terms of the PowerPoint, the slides, don't worry. I'm going to be sharing this recording. We're going to be sharing emails. We're a lead generation agency. Do you really think that we'd have 3,000 people register to our event and we'll not chase you up to sell to you? Don't worry. We're going to send you emails, send you recordings. If there's a way that we can work together, great. If there's a way that we can support you, great. If I could get 3,000 replies saying, thanks, Pat, that helped me, I would be so happy. If I could get one customer, that helps. But generally, I'm doing this to help train, to help raise my brand. But I'm going to share all this with you because, as I say, it's not a hidden secret formula. It's just information collaborated and sort of put into a concise way to say, hopefully, this helps you. And part of my mission is to try and help startups to grow and scale. And you need this information to get going. So just very quickly, Phantom Buster is one of these tools. It lets you do all the things we're talking about. So it can let you say, export all the people that registered for an event or registered for your companies or registered for a group. So if I type in group, it can say export all the group members, or event, it can say export all the members of a group, or you can say learning, export all the people who like a learning course. So all of these searches that I've showed you, there's now a software that connects with a search that exports them all. So if you have all this data, then the tool that I would finally recommend is buzz.ai. And there's loads out there. But this is a cool tool I've been having a look at. A lot of startups are trying to use it as well. And the reason I'm sharing this is that this combines LinkedIn and email together. So multi-channel campaigns to reach out to somebody via LinkedIn. If they don't accept, reach out to somebody via email, all automated, all highly against what LinkedIn wants you to do. So I'm only letting you know this is what's out there, but don't use it. Or if you do it at your own sort of risk. So when you have these sorts of tools, target audience messaging softwares, you start to really scale. So the final things is this. Think about this, even share in the post if you want to, and share some numbers. And all I want to share is this final number. What is the total possible safe activity you can do? So how many connections can you send per day? For example, 100, whatever. How many connections can you send via mobile phone, which is different to desktop? How many messages can you send to groups? How many messages to people who join events? How many messages to people who have an open profile with that sort of gold badge? How many people can you invite to your event? Like we've got 3,000 people to our event, but we've advertised for like 2 months. We must invite to 10,000 people. And what's the total possible safe activity? And I get anything from 50 to 5,000. And what I want you to be aware of is this is your possible safe activity, that you could do this every day. Nobody really does because it's very time consuming. It would be your full-time job of just this. But these are the numbers. Safely send 20 connections per day. Safely connect with another 10 from your phone. Safely message 100 people from a group and 100 people from an event. Safely message 30 people a day via open email. Safely invite 1,000 per week, so close to 200 per day. So in theory, you could do 580 touch point messages per day. So all of this idea of the searches, the messages, all these things, you could do this volume, but do you have time to click 580 times per day? And if you don't, that's why our agency exists, why there's companies out there that do lead generation for you, because you just don't have time to do this, but the volume is out there. And this is the sort of trade-off based on, I want to do this myself, I want to be in control of it all, but I don't have time to do anything that is the capacity to do it. So why do you think we have 3,000 registrations? Why are we getting lots of inquiries coming every day to work with us, to speak to us? Because we are relentless at the activity and the attention to detail, and then the sales admin of replying to people. And that's really, really critical, that even if you can do all this stuff, doesn't mean you have time to do it. So to wrap up, and I'll figure out some of your final questions, I just want to practice what I preach. I train so many people on doing events, and I say, make sure the audience understands that you actually offer this service. You don't just train or you're not interested in it. You offer this as a service. And this is what we do. So we offer LinkedIn outreach, email outreach. We organize LinkedIn events for people like we're doing today. And we help structure the events and then all the campaigns after the events to follow up people to try and generate leads for you. And generally, this is the strategy. And I think a lot of people get a bit lost of, should they be doing cold emailing or should they just be doing content marketing events? And the truth is, it has to be that Venn diagram, happy link in the middle. You should be doing posts, but connecting with the people who like your posts. You should be doing events, but connect to the people who attend your events and these sorts of things. So we generally work in 4 different phases: grow your network, build the events, email people, generate leads and demos, and then manage your inbox down to 0. And any leads that you get, we tag, and then we give you real-time analytics and reporting that LinkedIn just doesn't offer you. And making sure you're getting a high connection rate, about 44% in this example, you're getting a high email open rate, 30 to 40%. And you can see for leads, you're getting 20 to 30 leads per month. So this is a screenshot from our client. This is not Photoshop. You can see there's some like buffering as those certain things. This is just a screenshot from a client we work with. So we're very open about how we work and how we can help. And in terms of our costs, we charge 950 euros per month per account. And we find that companies who add 2 or 3 accounts are sort of the sweet spot that get huge results. But a lot of the time, a founder with 1 account can still get 200 people a month to events, 30 leads per month, and it can work really, really well. So we're not for everybody. We only take on 3 to 4 companies a month that are our target audience, that are our fit. And we've been fine-tuning this service for about 5 years now. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. This is the dream team that I work with, and I'm privileged to have such an awesome team that I work with, in terms of Eddie, who's my co-founder, who's moderating today. So I hope you would be nice to Regilla, who's head of sales, that if you want to have a call with her, she'll speak to you. Atilia, who's working with me behind the scenes, helping to run all the events and the campaigns. And then Lara, who's head of marketing, that's going to be helping with the follow-up emails, helping structure other events. And you'll see her from time to time on events, or you might have a call with her as well. So if we can work with you, please just scan that QR code and book a demo with our team. Email me and just build a relationship. You might not need help now, but let's get to know each other. Connect with me, get to know each other. But my goal for today of this whole webinar was, can I sort of share with some skills that can support you in the best possible way for you to say, great, I'm going to go and apply that tonight, tomorrow, and get results. I'm going to test the LinkedIn learning hack or the Boolean search hack, or I'm going to test the software. Or likewise, you can say, oh, apologies. Likewise, you could say, do you know what? This is an agency I trust. I want to have a call and learn more, and job done. So I just want to go through some final questions just for a couple of minutes. Eddie, you were saying, can I share a PowerPoint? 100%. I'll share the slides, the recording. in about an hour's time. I'll make sure that gets out to you. Most people don't put their email address on LinkedIn. So how does Phantom Buster get that data? So there are a few tools I'm going to share with you, but this tool here called Snovio, this tool converts LinkedIn profiles to business email addresses, personal name, business email. And they have a product here called LinkedIn Prospect Finder. So basically, you could use Phantom Buster to export everybody that likes a LinkedIn Learning, and then you could put that through Snovio, and that gives all the business emails, not 100%, but 30 to 40%. And then you could reach out people via LinkedIn and email as a multi-channel, or just do one or the other. And I hope that answers the question. A few other ones. What do you think about the collect leads on the company page? So you can have a section on a company page that will say, connect with us, find out, that sort of thing. It's okay, but only if you grow your company page, and most people don't. So there's a hack that you can, well, not a hack, but you get 250 free invitations per month to invite people to follow your company. And so I would implore you to do that all the time. Normal LinkedIn search only gives 3 results and masks the rest, saying you need to upgrade the navigator. Does everyone face the same? So basically, you either have a small network, so you have to grow your network to find people, or you've been doing too many searches that you've reached your limit on LinkedIn, which is 1,000 searches per month, which Sales Navigator lets you do 2,500 searches per day. So it's a big difference. So I think that might be one way. One other way is you can do a Google search for LinkedIn profiles. So I'll not cover that now, but just have a look at finding LinkedIn profiles via Google search, and that might open you up to find people that are not in your network, but are on LinkedIn. I think final one to choose here. Yeah, so if you contact people via Sales Navigator, then stop using Sales Navigator. Their Sales Navigator inbox disappears, but their clients or the contacts don't disappear. It just shows in your normal LinkedIn box, and it should be okay. So I want to finish here. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes. Thank you so much for listening to the end, of anybody who did do that. Thank you so much for everybody who registered, didn't turn up live, but then watched this on repeat. Thank you in advance for everybody who reaches out and just is kind. Say thank you for your time. This is a free event. I've planned it. We've advertised. We've made the slides, and it's to help you. It's to add value for you to go and use this. So just hearing from you saying thanks means a lot. And finally, if we can help you, if you're a startup that's looking to scale up, if you have a sales team, if you're looking to generate more leads, if you would like to do LinkedIn events or already do, but want to really scale them up, please let me know. And if we work together, I'm the person who manages your account, speaks to you on nearly a daily basis, gives you feedback, and really pushes you. So we're a bespoke agency who wants to work with just a couple more companies that can really have an impact and get to know you. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop sharing there. There we go. Please keep in touch. Have a wonderful evening. I'll send this recording over and speak soon.